Good day, people. So today we are going to be talking about forex. We are going to talk about introduction to forex, and equally we also discuss the benefits of forex. Why is forex much more important than other kinds of side business that we could do, or as a major business as well? So we are going to be talking about forex, that is foreign exchange, and equally we are also going to be talking about how to open an trading account. To make this more formal, my name is Moshood and I work for Trading Nigeria. So, what is Forex? Forex has actually become um, a very common language. In fact, that's gotten close to lingua franca that everybody on the street even talk about Forex. So, what actually does Forex means? Forex actually stands for foreign exchange. So the first FOR for foreign and the EX in front of it is exchange. Now, how does that concern us? Well, it does because Forex should be your way to financial independence. So we have to ask ourselves, how does Forex means our way to financial independence? It's going to be of a way to financial independence only if you play by the rules. If you trade forex by the rules, then it's going to be a way to financial independence. Otherwise, if you lag or if you go against the rules, if you do whatever you like and not follow what you should follow, it might be your way to financial bankruptcy because people have experienced that because they fail to play by the rules. So next thing is, what is the buzz about forex? Why is forex so loud everywhere? Why is everybody talking about forex? Why is it so important? Why is everybody place a lot of importance to forex? Well, the reason is actually simple. Is because that's to do with foreign currencies. Because there's actually money there to be made. So just like a wide saying or usual saying that people only talk about you when you are very, very important. If you're not important, people will likely not talk about you. Yes. So that's the reason why people talk about forex. That's the reason why we have the buzz about forex because there's actually money there to be made. Now the question is that how much is there to be made? What money? How much can you make in forex? Next slide. Now, like I said earlier, forex is derived from the words foreign exchange. Foreign and exchange. It's also shortened as FX. That's also foreign exchange. Now, you're just now we talked about how much money is there to be made and why is the buzz so loud about forex. The money that to be made is quite huge. In fact, you might be surprised that forex market is actually bigger, much more bigger than even the stock exchange market you know about. The stock exchange market is usually filled by all the multinationals, all the indigenous companies of the world and the likes. But as much as those companies are there, the money to be made there is not actually as much as forex. Basically, about some $2 billion thereabout on the stock exchange market. But on foreign exchange on forex, the money to be made on a daily basis is over $5.1 trillion. That's a whole lot. So $5.1 trillion is there to be made on a daily basis. And so the question is, how do I get this money? Even a recent report yesterday showed that the money on the forest on forest on a daily basis is now up to $5.4 trillion. It is now up to $5.4 trillion. So it has actually changed. So we can just ask ourselves, then how do I actually get my share of this money? That should be the next question, naturally. So $5.4 trillion is there on air, online, all over the world, where people drop and make money from. So you have to ask yourself, how do I get my own share of this money? Next thing, so what do you do in this market? What we do in this market is very simple. We trade foreign currencies of major economies of the world. To remind you again, basically, what actually brings about forex is because of economies of the world, the disparity in the economies of the world. One economy is booming and one economy is not, and therefore the currency of the economy that is booming is going to sell better, while the economies of the world that is not booming is not going to sell. That's actually the genesis of forex. That's actually what actually triggers foreign exchange. So basically, what you do in the forex market is to trade major currencies of major economies in the world. And what are the major currencies? What are the major economies? We all know them, except if we want to pretend, but I'm going to help us out. We have the US dollars, that is United States of America, US dollars. It's a major currency of the world. We have the euro, that is the the euro, and we have the Great British Pound, that is GBP. That's also that's also a currency of a major economy of the world. So these currencies are few of the major currencies that are traded on the forex market. We also have the yen, the JPY, the Japanese yen. We also have the Japanese yen. We have the Canadian dollars. We have the Australian dollars. We have several of these major currencies of the world, which we are going to know about very soon. Now, apart from all of these major currencies that I have mentioned about, there are several pairs of these currencies. What I mean by pairs now is that if you remember earlier, I said that the genesis of foreign exchange is actually because of differences in the economies of countries of the world. One economy of a country is booming, economy of country B is not booming. So definitely, if you want to pair the currencies together, because this that currency of the economy of the country that is booming will definitely be stronger than the one that is not booming. That's basically what about forex. So in that instance, we see that when we see that to actually trade forex, we need a pair of two different currencies. You are pairing a USD, a US dollars, with an AUD, an Australian dollars. If you are doing that, it means that you've actually observed that there is a difference between the economies of those countries at the point when you are doing that. That means the US dollars might be booming at that point, while the Australian dollars is not booming. So that way, you see that there could be money to be made when you pay for it in that instance. Equally, you could it could be in the other way around, whereby the AUD, the Australian dollars, is probably, which is the currency of Australia, is probably booming because the economy is good at that moment, and therefore the US dollars, which is the currency of the United States of America, is not booming at that point in time. So when you pay it again, there could be money to be made in that instance. That's basically the genesis of foreign exchange, forex. So we should understand that when it comes to trading forex, it has to do with a currency pair, two currencies at a go, and not one. Next slide. So what do you do in this market? Well, just like you sell yam in the yam market, you sell tomatoes in the tomatoes market, or in the forex market, what we trade is currency. I've said that before. So currencies of major economies in the world. So I've said that earlier that what we trade in the foreign exchange market are currencies of major economies of the world, which I've given examples like the US dollars, like the euro, like the Great British Pounds, and the Australian dollars, the Canadian dollars, and so on and so forth. So the next slide. What currencies are we talking about here? So generally, all currencies are being traded, but not all currencies are being traded electronically and globally. That is true. Now, we must understand that when you trade forex, what you see on your forex platform that you trade, all the currencies that you see there, are not the only currencies of the world. There are several currencies of the world that you might not see online to trade, but because it is forex, it's only some few currencies of the world that you can actually trade online. It's not all currencies that are available to be traded online all over the world. So we must take note of that. All currencies are traded locally all currencies of the world are traded physically, but electronically and globally, not all of them are traded electronically, like you can't do with Forex. So we should take note of that. Now, here are some of the currencies that are traded globally. We have the United States dollars, which is shortened as USD. We have the Great Britain pounds, which is shortened as GBP. Then we have the euro. When we mean euro, we mean euro members. By euro members, we mean all countries that are members of the European nation. For example, Spain is euro, so they make use of euro. France is euro, so they make use of the euro currency. Italy is Europe, so they make use of the euro currency. Belgium is Europe, so they make use of the euro currency, and so many European nations, all of them make use of the euro currency. Then we have the Japanese yen. The Japanese yen is the official currency of Japan. So that's the Japanese yen. Equally, we have the Switzerland franc, the shortened as the Swiss franc. So the alphabet shortened from is CHF, Swiss franc, Switzerland franc. That's the official currency of Switzerland. Then we have the Canadian dollars, which is shortened as CAD. We also have the Australian dollars, which is AUD, and we have the New Zealand dollars, which is NZD. So these are the major currencies that are traded electronically and globally. In other words, these are the major currencies that you find on your trading platform to trade with. Shall we forge ahead? Now, look at this sample. A quick example of how exchange is done locally. How exchange is done locally. Now, let's say you have $1,000 with you, and the current rate of dollars is 140 naira. We now add a rumor that the price of dollar will fall. What will you think of doing? Let me get that again. You have $1,000 with you, and the current rate of dollar is 140 naira. Now you add a rumor somewhere, or someone told you, or maybe in the news, that the price of dollar will fall. What will you do at that moment? I believe what you're going to do is to quickly sell the dollars in your hand to get naira, because the price of dollar is going to fall. So you sell the dollars so that you get your naira before the price of dollar fall. Because if the price of dollar fall and you still have the dollar in your hand, by the time you exchange it in naira, it's going to be lower than what you should have before. I believe you follow. I will say that again. Since you add the rumor that the price of dollar will fall, and you have $1,000 with your hand, at that point when you have the $1,000, the rate of the dollar to naira is 140 naira. Since you add that, it will fall, meaning that fall means that if the price of dollar will fall, it means that the price of dollar to naira might no longer be 140 naira, but it might be 138 naira or 135 naira, or go even far below that. And at that juncture, the wise thing for you is to sell the dollars immediately and get your naira in 140 naira format at once. When you do that, you get it at 140 naira rate before the price of dollar falls as it has been rumored. At that point, you seem to be safe, and therefore, when the price of dollar now eventually falls, you still have your money intact in 140 naira rate. I hope I'm following. This actually the scenario of the physical exchange that we do locally, and that's also a simple scenario of what actually happens in the foreign exchange market. So the next slide. This is also another example. Let's say the rumor was true, and okay, let's say the earlier rumor that I mentioned was true, and then the dollar actually fell to 130 naira. That's a whole lot, 10 naira difference. The question is this: if you want to purchase back your previous $1,000, at how many naira will you be buying it back? Of course, that's 130 naira. In this transaction, you would have made 10,000 naira profit. That means that if you took action, like I said earlier, by quickly selling the dollars and getting your naira in 140 naira rate. If the dollar now truly fell and the price of the dollar to naira is now 130 naira, you now have 10 naira each on each of the dollar that you now want to sell back to someone else in naira. So when you do that, at that point you get, you have $1,000. So 10 naira times 1,000, you have already made a 10,000 naira profit. This actually the true scenario of what happens in a foreign exchange market. You listen to the news, you listen to a rumor, or you study the market and you presuppose that something is going to happen, you take action, the action works for you, and you make money. That's actually what happens in the foreign exchange market. Next slide. Still on the example of how it happens locally. On the other side, let's say you have 140,000 naira with you, and the current dollar rate is 140 naira to a dollar. And you have the rumor that the dollar rate will increase. What do you do? I'll say this again. Let's assume that you have 140,000 naira with you, and the current dollar rate to naira is 140 naira to a dollar. Then you had the rumor that the dollar rate will increase. If the dollar rate will increase, it means that a dollar to a naira will no longer be 140 naira. If it actually happens, it could be that 145 naira or 150 naira or even more. What do you do? The next thing you think of doing is that you consider buying dollars at the current rate of what? Of 140 naira. So 140,000 naira can buy you $1,000 if the rate is 140 naira. So since you had the rumor that the dollar rate will increase, it will no longer be 140 naira. What you do is to buy $1,000 at the rate of 140 naira. When you buy the dollars at that moment, you're waiting for it to increase so that when you sell, you make an extra money. It is an example of what happens in the foreign exchange market. Going forward, let's say the rumor you had was actually true, and the value of dollars went as high as 155 naira. Now, what happens? To get back your money in naira, you will have to exchange your dollars at the current rate of 155 naira. So the dollars you bought at 140, you will sell now at 155. On this transaction alone, you would have made 15,000 naira profit. You remember that you bought the dollars at the rate of 140 naira. You bought $1,000. That means you add 140K to buy $1,000 at the rate of 140 naira. Now, based on the rumor you had back then that made you buy the dollars at 140 naira, that the dollar was going to increase. Now the dollars actually increased per chance, and now you have it as 155 naira. If you're going to resell it now because you don't want to use the dollars, you actually bought the dollars so that you can make more money. So if you don't want to resell at the current rate, which is 155, it means that on each dollar you sell, you make 15 naira extra, and you are going to sell $1,000. 15 times 1,000, that makes 15,000 naira profit on that singular transaction. That's money. Now imagine if you didn't buy $1,000. Imagine if you actually bought $10,000 or $20,000. We are going to talk about 150K or more profits on just one transaction. That's money. Next slide. I've mentioned this earlier that in forex trading, what you do is to trade two different currencies at the same time, because that's actually the only reason why you could make money. If you look at the other examples that I've given, the other scenarios I've given scenarios of two different currencies, naira and dollars. It could be British pounds and euro. It could be US dollars and Canadian dollars. There has to be two different currencies, because like I explained earlier, It is the differences in the economies of the countries which those currency represent. The difference in their economies is what actually makes the money in the foreign exchange market. I said earlier that if for instance we are pairing US dollars and Canadian dollars, what we are trying to look for if we want to do that kind of trade is that we want to see whether the US dollars, whether the American, because the US dollars is for America, we want to see whether the United States of America has a better economy at that point in time than the Canadian economy, which is the Canadian dollar, CAD. At that point, it means that the economy will now define the value of their currency in the world and also in the foreign exchange market. So that's the reason why we have to pair two different currencies together. So in the forex trading business, we trade the currency of one nation for another nation. We trade the currency of a nation against another currency. In essence, we are taking advantage of exchange rate fluctuation. That's it. Because there is no way, if you want to exchange a US dollars for naira, the exchange rate is going to be different. That difference in exchange rate is what makes the money. If the US dollars is paired with the Canadian dollars, there will be an exchange rate fluctuation, whether going up or going down. That's where we are going to take the advantage. Now, if the exchange increases, it's an opportunity for us, and if the exchange also decreases, it's also an opportunity for us. What that means is that whichever fluctuation happens, whether the exchange rate increases or it decreases, it's actually an opportunity to be taken. It's only how you see it that actually matters. So both ways you make money, whether the exchange rate is rising or it is falling. If it's a rising market or falling market, we make money. In the actual language, we say if it's a bullish market or a bearish market, we make money. Bull rising up, bear falling down. The bull and bear markets. Now, the next question is, how exactly do you do this? How exactly do you do this? How exactly do you now trade this? Do you now trade forex? Well, the key point in what you do is our information. How do we know whether the dollars will rise or fall? And our information is dependent on the kind of analysis we make. Now, this is where I'm going to stop for the introduction to forex. Maybe we are going to learn much more later. But before I put a stop here, we must know that we must understand that to be able to trade forex is not for a novice. We have to learn about it. We have to know certain things about it. Now, the key point of what we do is our information. That's the first thing, information. You must have information. And how do you get information? You listen to the news. You know what's happening in countries of the world. Then you have other sources where you have information on the web and the likes, where you have information about the countries that whose currencies are on the forex market. Canada, United States of America, Britain, Europe, New Zealand, Australia, Switzerland, and so on and so forth. You listen to the news about all of these countries whose currencies are in the foreign exchange market. Their news about their economy, about war, about several things will give you insight into what could happen to their currency at the moment or in the next few hours or in the next few days. If they have a major decision to take about the economy or about a particular war or about a particular bill, all of those things will influence their currencies because it's going to influence the economy. So that's one part, information. It's also the way to know whether a dollar or another currency will rise or fall. Now, after we get our information, we also do market analysis. We do market analysis on our trading platform. We look at our charts properly. You only get to know the charts when you have a trading account. You only get to understand what I'm saying. You look at the chart properly, but you analyze properly. with the right indicators, of course, and then you know what to do, whether to buy a particular pair or whether to sell it. Many of these things you actually understand better when I show them to you in our next class. So, but for now, I'm going to stop on the introduction to forex so that I can move on to how to open an M trading account. I'm supposed to talk about the benefit of forex trading, but for the fact that I have not finished up this introduction, for that reason, I won't jump to the benefit of forex trading. So until I finish up the introduction to this forex, we won't discuss the benefit of forex trading. So right now, I'm just going to do a summary of what we have talked about. We have been able to discuss what forex is. We said that forex could be a way to financial independence if you play by the rules. We talked about why the boss about forex, because it's not talking about foreign exchange. It's about foreign currencies, and equally because there is money there to be made. I made a statement at this juncture. I said that if you are not important, people will not talk about you. Because forex is important, because there is money to be made. That's why people are talking about forex. So whether in the positive or in the negative angle, there is simply money to be made. That's why people are talking about forex. Next is about how big is forex. Forex is the biggest financial market in the world. I mentioned that the recent report, not even the one you are showing on my slide right now. I mentioned that the recent report says that it's even over $5.4 trillion there to be made on foreign exchange markets on a daily basis. That's a huge lot of money. We also talk about what do you do in the market. We said we trade currencies of major economies in the world. If we take note properly, we should take note of currencies. We should take note of economies. Those two things are what actually inform what to do on the foreign exchange market. Currencies, economies. So what happens is that the economy of the countries of the world is definitely going to affect or influence the value of their currencies. And when it happens like that, it also means that that's what will now determine how we trade with their currencies on the foreign exchange markets platform that we are. So we should take note of economies of the countries of the world and how the economies affect their currencies. And that will now determine what currency pair we trade on the forex market. Now, we said what do we do in this market? We trade currencies. We trade currencies of the major economies of the world. We also talked about the fact that all currencies of the world are traded traditionally. They are traded physically. There are several currencies of the world. In China, there is a Chinese yuan. In several currencies, there are so many currencies of the world that are not in the foreign exchange market. They are not traded electronically or globally. But globally, there are only few currencies of the world that are traded. And here are the currencies: the USD, the Great British Pound, the Euro, the Japanese yen, the Switzerland franc, the Swiss franc, which is CHF, the Canadian dollar, which is CAD, the Australian dollars, and the New Zealand dollars. Now, we made some examples. We give examples of some scenarios of what happens physically or traditionally about forex, about exchange generally, and how that represents what actually happens in the foreign exchange market. This is also one of the examples, if you remember properly. And this, then we also talk about what happens in the forex trading market. And what happens is that we trade one currency against another currency. And I said earlier that we take advantage first of the information that we have, that one country's economy is better than the other, and then we pick their currencies and pay them together, and then there's something to be made. Because in the end, the exchange rate of the currencies will be different. So it will be increased from one point of view, and it will be decreased on another point of view. So any of those things that happen, there is money to be made. Whether it is rising or falling, there's money to be made. And we have been able to talk about how do you do this. We said you read information, news, online, and any other way you could get information. And you also need to, that will now help you to know when a particular currency will rise or fall. And when you get information, you need to do proper market analysis, which is possible only when you have been trained on how to analyze your charts on your trading platforms. Of course, using several or few or one good indicator. So that's about introduction to forex trading. So we are going to stop here and then we jump over to how to open an M trading account. So at this point we are going to talk about how to open an M trading account and to be able and to open an M trading account. What to do when you open your browser, you go to www.mtrading.com. As you can see on my screen, you click on enter. When you have clicked on enter, as you can see on my screen, there are several things you can see on my screen. But you go to the top right corner where you have create an account, and you click on create an account. You click on create an account. It loads. When it loads, here is what you get. Sign up with MTRADING. And when you get that, you have a form to fill. Now, before you start filling your form at all, take note whether you want to open a demo account, which you can see here, or whether you want to open a live account. If you're opening a demo account, you will see a purple line under open demo account. As you can see the line here, the purple line, open demo account. But if you want to open a live account, you come here and you click on it. You can see the purple line has moved to under open live account. That way, you are clicking on open live account. When you do that, then you start filling the form. Let's assume that your name is actually John. You're filling Johnson. Your last name is Badmus, for instance. You fill in Badmus, and your email is johnbadmus@hotmail.com, for instance. You fill in that as well. Now, password. Your password that you want to create here is the password that you will use to open your trader room. Now, your trader's room, what we mean by trader's room is just this website. Don't get confused. What we mean by trader's room is just this website. When you come to this website and you log in, you put in your email and password and you enter. That's your trader's room, where you will see all your information and anything that you want to do. You want to make a withdrawal, maybe you want to make a transfer, internet transfer, and so on and so forth. You do everything inside that website, inside your trader's room. So your trader's room is just this website. There is no hard rule about it. So you fill in your first name, your last name, and then your email. Then the next thing is your password. The password that is acceptable here, take note. 1, it must have 1 capital letter at least. It must have small letters of alphabet. 1 capital letter alphabet, small letter alphabet. It must have a number, and it must have a symbol. And 5th one is that it must be at least 8 characters or more. I've mentioned 5 things, 5 criteria for this password. 1, it must have at least 1 capital letter alphabet, small letter alphabet, that is 2. 3, it must have a number, at least a number. 4, it must have a symbol. By symbol, we mean things like @ hash, star, and so on and so forth. Those symbols are if you check your keyboard on your laptop, those symbols are the symbols that you find on the numbers on your laptop. So to be able to get those symbols, you have to press Shift and that button that has a number to get the symbol on it. For instance, if you have your keyboard, on one you have an exclamation mark on top of one, on two you have at, on three you have hash, on four you have a sign of a dollar sign on four, on five you have a percentage sign on five, on six you have a caret sign on top of six, and on seven you have an and sign, eight you have a star sign, and so on and so forth. So to get the symbol, you just press, you hold Shift and then press any of those numbers that has the symbol that you wish to use. So I'll take it again now. On your password, it must have at least one capital letter alphabet. It must have small letter alphabet. It must have at least a number. It must have at least a symbol. And then fifth, that it must be at least 8 characters or more. So I'm going to take an example now. I'm going to use an example. I've written my password, but you cannot see it. Now you confirm password in this other part. You make confirmation of the password there by typing the password all over again. The same password that you typed here is what you now type here again. So I am typing it again with the number, with the hash, making sure. Then I put a phone number. The phone number plus 234 is the code for Nigeria. So after that, you just go on from that means that if you want to type a number now, you will miss the first zero in your phone number naturally, and then you type the rest. For example, if your number is 080, so you miss 0, and then you have from 80, then you have the rest 9200 1412. This is an example of a number. Then you click on accept the terms and conditions. When you do that, then you click on open live account. Now, if you hadn't changed this part from open demo account to open live account, if it was an open demo account, what you would see here is open demo account. What you will see here will be open demo account. And if you now change it to open live account, everything you feed will wipe off, then you now start over again. That's why before we start filling the form at all, it's always better to change from open demo to open live account. If you actually want to open a live account. But if you want to open a demo account, you can leave it on demo account. You will see what I mean now. You know we are on open live account. If I want to change to open demo account, you will see that everything on this, everything that I filled in, we all wipe out. Have you seen that? Everything that's wiped off, I have to start over again. So this is why it's important for you to choose which account you want to open first, whether demo or live. You make sure you are where you want to choose, whether demo, live or demo, before you start filling in the form. So when you fill in the form, you click on this accept terms and conditions, and then you click on open live account. Then you now go and check your mail to activate your account, and then you are good to go. So this is how you open an MTRADING account. When you get into when you now have access into your trader room as a via where you can now log in. You can now click on login. If you have been able to confirm your account via your email, then you now come here and you must have click on login. Then you now type the email, John Badmus, like I typed the other time, at hotmail.com, and then you put the password as you started the other time. Put the password, and then you now log in. My account is invalid because I have not been able to confirm that account. So you now log in. So when you log in, that's where you can now create an MT4 password. Because by the time you log in, you would have gotten a trading account number. Then you will now create your MT4 password. That is the MT4 is the software you use in trading. It is not the website that you are seeing right now. So this is MT4. This is MT4. This is MT4. So this is what you use in trading. So by the time you enter into your account here on the website, you will have gotten a trading account number, which is going to be your username on the MT4. Then you now create your password for that MT4, not for the website. The password on the MT4 is also like the one on the website, that must have at least a capital letter, that must have also small alphabet letters. It must have at least a number. It must have a symbol, and it must also be 8 characters or more. So you take note of that as well. So this is how to open an M trading account. If you have any questions for us, feel free to drop them on our social media handles on Twitter at mtrading_ng, and you can also talk to us via Telegram. We have a group on Telegram that you can join to get trained and also get more information about M trading. We have a lot of good services for you that are going to really help you to actually trade and make profit. So thank you for listening today. I wish you the best and happy trading. Thank you.